Hi, here is Bruno Spengler. You are in Hockenheim for the final. Hope you will have fun and enjoy that last race, and hope to show you a good show. We'll give everything to win.
Yes, indeed. Bruno Spengler, one of 3 men who can win the title here at Hockenheim. The 10th and final round of the 2007 DTM. What a season it's been, and a big showdown coming up. David Allison joins me, and David, a huge crowd on hand, and 3 men can still win the title, as I said.
3 drivers could be champion, 2 of them drive Audis, the other is Bruno Spengler. Now to win the crown, Spengler, who is second to Ekstrom, needs 2 more points out of this race than Ekstrom, and Martin Tomczyk is a further 4 points back from Ekstrom, and so it is any one of those 3. It's Audi versus Mercedes, it's Ekstrom versus Spengler versus Tomczyk for the crown.
Yes, an electric atmosphere here at Hockenheim, the only circuit which hosts 2 DTM races in the season, always the first and the last. And they reckon over the weekend, over 150,000 people cramming into the motordrome here near Heidelberg. So let's have a look at that track, indeed, with Bruno Spengler, as he goes out in the Daimler Chrysler backed Mercedes C-Class.
Hi, we are here in Hockenheim, and this is a lap with Bruno Spengler. So we come on the first corner, very, very quick, nearly 200 kilometers an hour, very wide on the exit. This was a 5th gear corner. Then we're coming up to still in 5th gear, going down, hard braking in 2nd gear. Very tricky, a lot of bumps on the braking. Very important, the exit of this corner for the next straight. It's a very long straight. 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear into the Parabolica, of course flat out. And then we are reaching about 263 kilometers an hour for very, very hard braking, about 100 meters. Down to 1st gear, a hairpin, then 2nd gear, 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear. The next corner is going flat, is very quick as well. A lot of downforce in the car. Then braking down for the Mercedes Arena, 2nd gear. Exit as well, very important, and the line for the next corner is very important too. Wide out in 3rd gear, then 4th, 5th. Now it's coming motordrome corner, very quick as well, 4th gear, bit of curb on the inside, then very wide at the exit. Then still in 4th, down to 2nd for Sachs corner, also a corner where you can carry a lot of speed in. Then out quite wide 3rd, stay in 3rd gear for that chicane flat out. Then also 3rd gear for the last 2 corners, very tricky, a lot of bumps here. A little straight, then again the last corner where you can go very wide out in 3rd gear. Then 4th gear, 5th gear. This was a lap of Hockenheim with Bruno Spengler.
Yes, the French-Canadian there, who has really come of age in the last couple of seasons for Mercedes-Benz. Qualifying very important here. And one of the first men locking up there, having a big moment, is Matthias Lauda into the gravel. And bang into the tyre barrier. Once the dust had settled, Gary Pappett was out there. This is a car which is going to be auctioned off after this race for the Laureus Sports Charity. And Gary also trying very hard. Mika Hakkinen with problems too. Incidentally, Mika is going to announce in the next 2 or 3 weeks whether he will continue in the DTM next season. I rather suspect that he will be out there again. But really, this qualifying was Audi's day now. Tom Christensen had a lot to prove, of course. It was here that at the start of the season he had that massive accident, had that huge bang on the head, which really has affected his whole season. But Tom Christensen wanted to put all that behind him, and that's exactly what he did. There's his lap time coming up towards the end of the lap, and a very fast one from Christensen.
It was really a great lap. Obviously the fastest ever here around Hockenheim in DTM. It's This weekend there was a dry weather for all sessions, and there has been a lot of cars on the track in different categories. Put a lot of rubber down. It's a bit cooler than in the beginning of the year, and certainly not least the Audi technicians have been not sleeping in the meantime. So all this made a very good car for qualifying.
Timo Scheider hasn't been on the podium this year, but he's on the front row for this last round of the championship. Timo Scheider qualifying second, and that means the front row of the grid is a lockout for Audi.
Well, it was quite tough, definitely, but in the end we are quite perfect. Thanks. It was a perfect qualifying for us in the first row. But tomorrow we will make the game, so we have to check the qualifying situation, and then we can decide what's the plan for tomorrow.
And the drivers fighting for the championship, Matthias Ekström, the best placed on the grid. He will line up third. The other championship protagonists, Martin Tomczyk and Bruno Spengler, fifth and sixth.
For sure, that's one of the most important qualifyings of my career in DTM, because when you come to the last race and you have to start far up front, and it's so small differences. I'm really happy that we managed to come to the front.
So the 2004 DTM champion starts in third place behind his two teammates. Indeed, it is Audi 1, 2, 3 and 5. The single interloper between those four men is, of course, Jamie Green. Well, we get a lot of pop bands visiting the DTM over the season, and this is the up-and-coming group Lexington Bridge, best known in Germany and Poland, being shown a steering wheel by Timo Scheider.
That's no drink button, high beam like you have in the road car.
The band members come from England, the States and the Netherlands, apparently.
I can go on the throttle, on the clutch, and let the clutch come.
I love motorsports. I used to race motocross when I was younger, and that's what my family does as well. So it's really interesting to be here in the pit lane and to be on the grid later. We're really excited, and yeah, it's interesting for us.
I guess he's the American one, David. On Friday evening, the 10 Audi DTM drivers competed in a pedal car race using vehicles lovingly transformed by hand into miniature DTM race cars by their mechanics. Well-known toy manufacturer Kettler provided the pedal cars, and they built a 75-metre circuit in front of the Audi VIP lounge. Well, it was Martin Tomczyk who won it. Second place, Marcus Winkelhock. Third place, Bernina X. And what a super idea.
The Mercedes drivers visited the huge Dinkenlacher Brewery's marquee at the Cannstatter Wasen, the second biggest beer festival in the world. Susie Stoddart tapped a barrel of festival brew before the guests were served. And they certainly had a raging thirst by the time it finally started to flow. Mega Häkkinen's visit to the Cannstatter Wasen tied in well with a tradition followed by many of the Mercedes employees in Stuttgart, who generally make a mass visit to the festival near the Hockenheim factory on Fridays as a great way to end the working week.
Meanwhile, Timo Scheider, who's had his fair share of bad luck this season, made a very nice gesture, presenting all his mechanics with a model car, signed, of course, and I'm sure those guys are going to treasure that for the rest of their working lives. Super gesture.
But it was time to say goodbye to Christian Abt, the driver who shares with Ben Schneider the distinction of competing in the DTM for all 8 seasons since 2000, marked his farewell from the series as a driver. However, even after stepping down as a racer, Abt will have plenty to keep him occupied at home in the family business and the race tuning hot shop, Abt Sportsline.
And even Norbert Haug coming along with the congratulations. On to race day then, the big showdown of the season. 3 drivers, Ekström, Spengler and Tomczyk, all with a chance of winning. And what a venue for this final race. Hockenheim, of course, tremendous atmosphere in the stadium. We'd had discord in Barcelona, but hopefully that was all behind us now as the cars got ready for the race and the drivers were paraded in front of the crowd. 37 laps coming up of the Hockenheim circuit, a distance of 169 kilometres.
There's always an element of strategy in DTM because they have to make 2 pit stops, but here this weekend, of course, is the strategy for the championship as well, with those 3 drivers in contention. There is the way the circuit looks. You've already had a lap around it, courtesy of Bruno Spengler, and so here is the grid. It's an all-Audi front row. Tom Christensen is on pole position, and Timo Scheider lines up second on the grid.
But on the second row, it's Matthias Ekstrom for Audi, but Jamie Green, winner in Barcelona for Mercedes.
Row 3 is Audi and Mercedes. Lining up 5th is Martin Tomczyk. Lining up 6th is Bruno Spengler.
Then the man who's won more DTM races at this circuit than anyone, Bernd Schneider, alongside Gary Paffett.
The next 2 on the grid for Mercedes, Alexandros Margaritis. For Audi, Alexandre Premat.
Then it's Marcus Winkelhock and Mike Rockenfeller.
With Christian Abt and Paul de Resta lining up 13th and 14th.
Then it's Lucas Law, hot back from driving an R10 in America, together with Matthias Lauda, Susie Stoddart and La Rosa.
And then Vanina X and Mika Hakkinen complete the grid. And why, Andrew, is Hakkinen at the back?
Oh, penalties, him and La Rosa for incidents at Barcelona as they're off. Let's hope they get round the first corner, the first lap cleanly. We had mayhem here at the opening round. But it does look clean through that first corner, certainly thus far.
One of the Audis goes wide, that could be Premat, but it's going to be Timo Scheider in the lead. Then Scheider with Tom Christensen diving up on the inside, and terrific. Tom goes through, but he runs wide. And Ekstrom's going to dive through for second, but Ekstrom really needs to keep out of trouble here. Tomczyk is with him as the cars accelerate their way then up through the gears, heading towards the Parabolica for the first time. Tom Christensen takes over the lead of the race, and of course it was that corner that he's just gone through where he had that big accident early on in the year. He's put those demons behind him.
Yeah, it was Premat that went out wide, David, and now a dive into the hairpin here, which is very wide. We see a lot of overtaking here. And again, cars going out wide, and a concertina effect, and a spinner as well in the middle, and Gary Paffett circulating, going round there. So Paffett involved in that incident.
But we've also had a change for the lead, haven't we? Because Ekstrom is ahead, and is that Tomczyk who's gone off? Yes, it's one of the Red Bull Audis. That's going to radically change the way the championship could shake up.
Well, this DTM racing's so tight, David, that I'd say that ends Tomczyk's chances of the championship.
Paul de Resta there, diving up on the inside of Mike Rockenfeller. We've not yet done a lap, but it's all action. We've had spins, we've had contact, and one of the big 3 for the title race has been off the road. So Eki is in the lead. Matthias Ekstrom starting 3rd, and that's Gary Paffett's car on the track. It's going to have to be pulled out of the way, but I just wonder whether that can be done in time or whether we may need a safety car. There's the answer. Safety car at the end of lap 1. The cars slow right down. 1 and 2 start to weave around to maintain the warmth in the Dunlop tyres. So Ekstrom, Christensen, Jamie Green 3rd, Timo Scheider, who led into turn 1, only 4th at the end of the lap.
Yeah, that's going to help Tomczyk a little bit as we see a replay here. There on the outside in the blue car is Gary Paffett.
But it was there that Ekstrom got the lead. Christensen gave him racing room, so the Audi drivers helping their own. And there at the back, Mercedes goes around, and mid-pack, Gary Paffett goes around.
Yeah, I think what happened is when Paffett came back onto the circuit, it hit the hard edge of the curb, and that's what appeared to damage something, David.
Good theory, I'll go along with that. That's the view with the dust settling. And there in the pits is Martin Tomczyk. Is it just for tyres, or is there something more serious? I think this is serious, don't you?
I do, and this won't count as one of his 2 pit stops, so disaster for the tall young man, Martin Tomczyk. Here it is, just watch the blue car. Watch when it hits the curve. Look, obviously there's a big bump there, and Gary Paffett, well, very lucky not to be T-boned as well.
And then the Audis getting themselves embroiled as well. I think there was a bit of contact between Tomczyk and Scheider, and this at the next corner is Tomczyk going straight on up the escape road very, very quickly. When he's back in the race, this safety car period to an extent will help him because he'll be able to catch up with everybody, but it will have delayed him. He's dropped right down the order.
So here at Hockenheim we ride with Martin Tomczyk, one of several men involved in early incidents here. But this is starting to look good as we get ready to restart for Matthias Ekstrom from Sweden, weaving to get the temperature up in the tyre so they've got plenty of grip when that safety car peels off.
So the pace being slowed a bit by Ekstrom, who wants to try and time this so that when the safety car peels in, he can go sprinting away. Look at the way they're weaving though, because they got precious little warmth into the tyres on that first lap. Now there is Scheider going wide, look, he gets back on the road and bang, clips Tomczyk.
He hit him hard, and we were watching Paffin,
yeah.
But that incident going on as well.
Well, we're about to go racing again. There are going to be one or two words about that, no doubt, in the Audi camp at the end of the race, but Matthias Ekstrom now wants to try and sprint away. And of course, ideally, there are quite a few non-championship drivers between him and Bruno Spengler.
And of course, there's guys trying to preserve their contracts for 2008. Also trying very hard at the moment, it's Ekstrom and Christensen. Paul Di Resta, who's had such a fantastic rookie season in DTM, down there in 10th place.
So second and third, Tom Christensen and Jamie Green, who at long last had that first win at Barcelona. He'd like another one, though, to prove that it can be done against a much bigger field because of all the dramas involving Audi towards the end of that most recent round of the championship. There is Tomczyk then storming on, but he really has got a mountain to climb this afternoon now. Here's a fight for second. Look, Christensen defending as Jamie Green thinks about the outside, thinks about the inside. There's barely enough room, and therefore he slots back in. No, he doesn't. He lunges up the inside, and Jamie Green goes through, forces Christensen over the curb, and Jamie Green goes through into second place. That was a really gutsy move.
Well, we're seeing the real Jamie Green, the Jamie Green who won the European Formula 3 Championship a few years ago in this latter part of the season. And I'm sure that Spanish victory really has boosted Jamie's confidence. He's definitely the best of the Merc drivers out there, and a replay of him passing Tom Christensen. It's very close, but I don't think they traded paint.
That's DTM racing as it should be. Two of the top drivers absolutely side by side, wheel to wheel racing, but no contact in it. Great clean battle that. Now look at Spengler here. He's stuck behind another of the Audis. Timo Scheider is ahead of him. Well, Scheider may have affected Martin Tomczyk's championship hopes, but he's helping Ekstrom's, of course, another Audi driver, because for as long as he is keeping Spengler at bay, there is no chance of Spengler making up ground. And remember that Bruno has got to outscore Ekstrom by 2 points to take the championship.
Yeah, and Bruno will reflect back on the happenings here at the very first Hockenheim, where he was penalised. Paul Di Resta still in 10th place, and just interesting to reflect that the man that Paul Di Resta beat to the Euro F3 Championship last year is now scoring points in the World Championship.
Christian Audi in his farewell performance there goes through. He's ahead of Markus Winkelhock, leader of the European Grand Prix, of course, early on in the year for Spiker, up towards the hairpin. And Timo Scheider right on the tail of Tom Christensen there. The Audi drivers having their own battle, mindful that they need to keep Spengler stacked out behind them and try and let Matthias Ekstrom build the lead here. Jamie Green going after him. Well, Jamie wants to try and take some points away from Ekstrom, which might ultimately help Spengler, of course. Yeah,
Timo Scheider has been a very good team player for Audi this season. Remember that this is his second coming in DTM. Previously with Opel, there is Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich watching. Been a good week for him so far. Came away from the Petit Le Mans with a victory for the diesel Audi R10s after a big battle with Porsche. That will please him. And here he is hoping that his team is going to snatch the DTM, which for the last 2 years, of course, has been won by Mercedes-Benz.
Well, he took a bit of stick, didn't he, after Barcelona for the decision to withdraw all the Audis because of what he felt were unacceptable standards of driving on the track. So let's see how the championship goes for Audi come the end of this final round of the series. Down towards turn one, there goes Jamie Green. It's a fifth gear corner. You can see the speed being carried, and that runoff strip on the outside is really part of the racing line, isn't it, on that corner?
It certainly is. All very close at the front at the moment. Mike Rockenfeller currently running in 9th place, another of the new recruits to Audi from Porsche for 2007, as is of course Lucas Luhr.
Spengler struggling at the moment to make real progress, but Matthias Ekstrom is creeping away, isn't he? Now he's building up that gap over Jamie Green. Tom Christensen third. That's Spengler having a long look on the inside of Timo Scheider, and Ben Schneider is behind him, the next of the Mercedes.
David, although Spengler is obviously a French-Canadian, in Canada they hardly know anything about him at all. You know, he's done most of his racing over in Europe. Recently I was at the Mosport track in Canada, asked some fans about Spengler, and they hardly know that he's a top racing driver, but he certainly is that.
Well, there's a certain internet-based radio show covering touring cars in the UK that last year posed the question, who is Bruno Spengler? That was at the start of the season. By mid-season, he was winning races. They certainly knew about him. And now, into the pit lane, Bruno Spengler then to have his first of two mandatory pit stops for tyres and fuel. And 4.9 seconds. That's another good swift turnaround. Spengler back in the race.
That's absolutely mega from the team there. And that could be important because this is going to be won by fractions of a second, possibly. Spengler back up to speed and a very important outlap for him.
That's Mika Häkkinen rejoining as well after his first stop. Häkkinen from the back of the grid and really hadn't been making the progress had he in that first stint.
Meanwhile, Jamie Green with the green mirrors there, still hounding down Audi, keeping the Mercedes-Benz hopes alive. And obviously if he can get Spengler behind him, then he can help him. Always a lot of tactics in the DTM. Great shot there of a cockpit of a DTM car. Tubular frame cars, V8 engines, over 400 horsepower. Superb formula. We'd like to see another manufacturer, of course. There's Christian Abt with the Playboy symbol on the front of his car. And Abt with Lure right behind him, Rockenfeller and De Resta all getting stuck in a lot of the rookies together.
It's almost like an Audi 1 mate battle. There are three Audis together. Then you've got the Mercedes of Matthias Lauda behind them. Here is Christian Abt then going for the pit lane. So the Playboy car down the pit road. Laurent Aiello carried the colours last year and then he retired at the end of the season. Christian Abt doing likewise this year. That's Christensen serving a stop. Alex Margaritas after his early spin back into the race.
And look at Christensen's time. If that's right, that must be close on the record for a pit stop. 4.3 seconds. Magnificent.
Well, that's going to stand him in good stead as these two stops unfold. The progress of Tomczyk, he's still only 18th, now 17th because of Ab's stop, but in other words, he is still way down the order, and he's yet to make his first mandatory pit stop. So Tomczyk, I'm afraid, really now you can write off, can't you, from that championship quest?
I'm afraid you can. Lots of different strategies going on here. Some people on a short first stint, others going on a longer stint. We often see this in DTM. But look at that, David! That is a pass for the lead by Jamie Green. Jamie Green goes past the Swede. And we can see it from on board. Superb manoeuvre by Jamie Green up at the hairpin.
Just like he pulled on Tom Christensen to an extent, wasn't it? Diving up on the inside, uses all of the road. Ekstrom has to make his own arrangements. They both run wide over the curb. Now, is there a problem with Ekstrom? Because, of course, he had a reasonably good lead a few laps ago, and suddenly Jamie Green right on his tail, and then up and past him in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I think there could be a problem with the car.
And going over the curbs won't have helped cure that, either will it? So there you can see Timo Scheider third. The ultimate team player, as Andrew Marriott was making the point earlier on. Well, now Scheider has got to sort of put a metaphorical arm around Ekstrom, hasn't he, here? He's got to stay behind him and try and make sure nobody else can get ahead of the Swede.
Absolutely right. Still several tactics to be played yet, and a few pit stops, first round pit stops to be made.
Well, Green, having got the lead, is pulling away. There is Martin Tomczyk. That's his first proper stop, if you like. Ignore the one under the safety car. That can't count. This one can, and that's the first of two mandatory stops for Tomczyk, who again now will plunge down the order. It's not snakes and ladders for him. He can gain when other people pit, but when he has to make a stop, so he will fall right to the back of the field again. Is Jamie Green leading? Matthias Ekstrom in second place, still the best of those involved in the championship hunt. And then in third place is Timo Scheider in this last round of DTM here at Hockenheim.
And Bernd Schneider is in fourth place, the winningmost driver in the DTM, to use an Americanism. And Rockenfeller up to sixth. But you see the first 10 cars, and the 10th being Susie Stoddard, have yet to stop. Christensen leading those cars that have stopped.
Good battle here, look. Alexandra Premat ahead of Bruno Spengler. Now Premat has yet to stop, whereas Spengler has already done one of his two. Tom Christensen, by the way, 10th, is the best of the stoppers at the moment, as now Spengler tries to go around the outside there. It's a pretty courageous effort. It doesn't quite pay off for him as they come now out of the sacked curve, staying in third gear for this final couple of corners. Spengler right there in the wheel tracks. Now does Premat dive for the pit lane this time? No, he doesn't. Stays out there, so Spengler still has to work hard. It's going to help Ekstrom, of course, isn't it, the longer Premat stays out, because here Spengler is losing time while he's stuck behind the Audi.
Oh yes, Premat's doing a specific job here. Man with all that single-seater experience, made a big career change this year, joining Audi. The Frenchman comes from Paris, and maybe he learned some of these tricks in Paris traffic. Maybe at the hairpin, Spengler can have a go at him. These two rival manufacturers, their cars so evenly matched. Now he's looking down the inside, there's no space to go. That's where I thought he might try. Drives every which way. Oh!
The space now. He managed to outfox Prema, made his own gap, didn't he? And now Spengler's on the defensive.
Not over yet though, is it?
Right there behind them as well is Margaritas. That's just a great battle. That's what DTM is all about, isn't it?
Well, he locked up, you see, and really he was out of control.
Straight over the curb, but there was a gap, you see, when he went through there. Recovers, and Prema tries to find back. Here's Spengler's view. Dives up the inside over the curb. And this is what the fans love about DTM. Great racing, and there you've got two good drivers in two different types of cars, the two manufacturers represented, and a fabulous battle.
And remember, Premat's in a 2006 car, but of course it is carrying a little less weight.
You're back on board with Spengler. Now he's behind Marcus Winkelhock. Is he going to be able to find a way past the man that drove for Spiker at the European Grand Prix there, nose to tail?
Yeah, another good battle going on. Struggles all through the field in front of this absolutely massive crowd. Winkelhock in 10th place versus Spengler, who should surely power by him. Marcus Winkelhock, of course, took over that car after Adam Carroll decided to go off GP2 racing most successfully.
Another place gained by Spengler, the quickest man on the circuit. This is an inspired drive by Spengler. Despite the best tactics of Audi, he is coming through the field, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is doing a good job here, still trying to keep that championship coming towards him.
Schneider in, Ben Schneider into the pit lane. The winner at Brands Hatch, of course, earlier on in the season. 3.7, look at that for a pit stop. That must be a record in DTM. They don't come quicker than that.
Yeah, that's the original parts Mercedes, the sponsorship from the in-house parts supply, and a very good pit stop. Probably haven't ever seen a faster one, but let's see what Audi can do then.
This is Timo Scheider down the pit lane then, from third place. That's going to help Paul de Resta. 3.7, that is the new time to beat. They're not far off, but 4.2. Of course, these tenths of a second lost or gained in the pits are absolutely crucial, aren't they?
Let's see where Scheider rejoins the race. There's a whole batch of cars coming towards him.
He's going to stay ahead of Christensen significantly, so he's the best of the one-stoppers. Bit of contact there. Lucas Law gets elbowed to one side, I think, by Daniel La Rosa. And side by side there as well, Tom Christensen has got right with him, Ben Schneider. But the Audi keeps the Mercedes driver at bay. Bruno Spengler is still behind them.
There is Paul de Resta from Edinburgh. Paul having a great first season, but in a 2004 car. He has been, in many ways, the revelation of the year.
You can't help but feel, Andrew, here, though, that after we've had the second round of pit stops, there are going to be one or two shuffles of the order, and it won't be because of pure overtaking, it'll be because of team tactics. But I'm sure once we see the order after the second round of stops, both the Audi and Mercedes management are going to be on the radios, and we'll have a shuffle in order to help the likes of Spengler and, of course, Ekstrom get into the best possible position for their championship hopes.
Yes, Dave, while this is all going on, of course, remember that Jamie Green is leading again. And Jamie Green is putting in some very quick laps, and nobody's really having a look at him. Ekstrom is the closest. Green yet to make his first pit stop. It could be absolutely vital, of course.
Now Timo Scheider remains the best of the stoppers. Tom Christensen the second of them, and then Bruno Spengler, well, he was third. Is he still? Yes, he is. Tom Christensen, though, in for a second stop. Now, this is going to be very important indeed. This is one of the perils, of course, of DTM, with everyone making two pit stops. The order can shuffle lap after lap after lap, but it's Tom Christensen, 4.3 seconds, who makes the second stop. That gets him out of the traffic, of course. Now, that's crucial to him.
Yeah, the team have worked that out, and a black and white flag for Christensen pushing another car, and that was Schneider that he apparently has pushed, and that is just a warning.
The driving standards flag, in other words, the race director is having a look at Tom Christensen's driving standards. Tom, not really somebody you associate with that sort of tactic, and there's another change for place, because up into 7th has gone Spengler ahead of Lucas Lohr. This is an inspired charge by Bruno Spengler for my money. He's the quickest man on the track at the moment, and he's the best drive being turned in as well.
Yeah, Spengler really is on fire here at Hockenheim. And you have to consider him a future DTM champion if he doesn't make it this season. It seems to be getting away from him at the moment. Although he's doing absolutely everything he can, there he is. Spengler in front of the Phillips car of Lucas Lohr. And I wonder how difficult Lucas is finding it adapting back to a DTM car after driving that diesel Audi Le Mans car last weekend at Atlanta. Very different car, very different circuit as we go on board with Spengler.
Same corner again though for Spengler, isn't it? He really likes that very slow first gear hairpin to do his overtaking. Well, Jamie Green leads here at Hockenheim and now serves his first of the 2 pit stops. Down the pit lane he comes.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where Green filters back in. Past the safety cars.
And that's Ekstrom as well, looks at the top 2 on the track now, the top 2 in the pits.
Yeah, tracking each other's strategy.
The gap between them was 5.4 seconds when they came in. Ekstrom needs to reduce the gap here on the pit stops. Long stop for Jamie Green. And Ekstrom, clock still ticking, yeah.
What's happening to Ekstrom? So that is a disaster for Matthias Ekstrom.
I think in fairness the clock was also showing it was not just the time they were stationary, but in fact the time...
No, I think you're right, David. I think that wasn't quite as disastrous as I first thought. Just watching the clock ticking away, we didn't see the actual car leaving the pits.
I think that was also including the time to crossing the timing beam, wasn't it? So, OK, he won't have gained necessarily there on Jamie Green, but has Ekstrom stayed ahead of Bruno Spengler, which is crucial for the championship? The answer is yes, he has.
There is Green in the lead, David, from Paul de Rest, who hasn't stopped yet, and then Mike Rockenfeller also hasn't stopped.
Now look at that, 4th and 5th, Timo Schneider ahead of Ekstrom. There's going to have to be a shuffle there, isn't there? So I think any moment you will find that Timo's radio crackles into life.
Just saw Gary Paffett's car parked at the side of the circuit. That's a sad sight. Gary only going, well, less than a lap. Not a way he would have liked to have finished this season.
Former champion and, of course, a race winner this year. He won the 2nd race, didn't he?
Yeah, in a year-old car.
And are we going to see him in DTM, or does a single-seater future beckon, I wonder?
Well, he'd like it to beckon still, and there was the possibility of driving for the new ProDrive F1 team, but that seems to be very much up in the air at the moment, so if that's the case, I'm sure he'll be back for 2008, and I'm sure he'll be in a 2008 car. Green, Schneider, de Rest to Ekstrom. De Rest heading for the pits though, and he'll shuffle back down the order. Same with Rockenfeller.
Bruno Spengler hustling on them. His next target is Ben Schneider. And Schneider, I suspect, may well also get a metaphorical tap on the shoulder to help his teammate. In fact, there is Schneider into the pit lane. That's going to be his 2nd stop, isn't it? Tom Christensen is the other man that's made 2, so where will Schneider feed back in relative to TK? Look for the Audi. Schneider 4.5 seconds. There's Christensen. To his right's going to be Ben Schneider, but has Schneider got ahead? Yes, he has, unless Tom Christensen can dive up at the next corner, which he's going to try to do on the brakes. The Audi goes through. Goes wide though, door left wide open, and Schneider, who is a wily old fox, knows exactly what to do, and he takes the place back again.
Well, Tom might have won Le Mans 7 times, but when it comes to DTM tactics, I'll have to tell you the German Bernd Schneider knows a thing or two.
What a way to end the championship, though. This is one of the best races of the year, isn't it? And, of course, there is still the championship to be decided. It's now a 2-way fight, really, between Ekstrom and Bruno Spengler. And that's how it stands at the moment, with Ekstrom ahead of Spengler, and then Martin Tomczyk, a disappointing potential no score for him.
And incidentally, Jamie Green will leapfrog up to 4th place if he wins this one. It looks as if he's going to. But this is really not about who's going to win this race, it's about who's going to win the championship. Ekstrom and Spengler then, third and fourth, the two protagonists for this title. Still one vital pit stop to come for both of them.
Martin Tomczyk at the moment is in 10th place, so he has been able to gain a few places. He's still trying very hard, but that's the race leader, Jamie Green, over the line ahead of Timo Scheider. And there, into the pits for the second time, is Matthias Ekstrom. We never really got to the bottom of why he lost that time early on to Jamie Green, but Ekstrom now just content, I think, to stay ahead of Spengler, isn't he?
That's what he has to do. And these boys know that if they make a mistake, if they drop a vital nut or something, it's all over, but they don't, of course. The app team practiced that in the workshop. They got it absolutely right. And Ekstrom rejoins.
And ahead of Ben Schneider, that means that Ekstrom is the best of the two stoppers then. It means that in real terms he's leading, although we'll wait and see where Jamie Green blends back in after his second stop. But Matthias Ekstrom there is the best of those that have made two stops. Right up behind him there, though, is Ben Schneider. And they go now through the parabolic, as it's called, that long left-hander up towards a first gear hairpin.
Yeah, that's the brand new hairpin. I call it brand new. As Paul di Resta gets a twitch on when they shorten the circuit, mainly for Grand Prix racing. That was one of the new corners that was created.
Matthias Ekstrom won the championship in 2004. He's leading the championship in 2007. Is he going to win it? He's under pressure, of course. Ben Schneider wants to get ahead of him. Ideally, he'd like Ekstrom to fall off. But I think Matthias Ekstrom is equal to the pressure here, isn't he? Out of the Mercedes arena, now down towards the final tribunes, heading up towards the Sachs curve. That's Jamie Green, the race leader, is in his second pit stop of the race.
A little bit of debris on the front of the car, David, but it's not covering any part of the radiator, so that's not a worry. It'll probably drop off as he stops.
And Bruno Spengler is in as well. Look, there he is down the pit lane.
His most important pit stop of the season, probably. In he comes. And he's right at the end, the last pit.
He wants to get out ahead of Christensen, really, doesn't he, to have any chance of getting his way through the Audi traffic. Spengler is on his way, 4.6 seconds, but there was Christensen going through turn one. One side of the white line is Spengler, the other side is Christensen, and the Audi is going to get ahead, I reckon, going into the corner. Yes, Christensen for Audi, ahead of Spengler for Mercedes, and that could have been the last roll of the dice for Spengler, and it's not worked.
Absolutely right, this is absolutely crucial. As we see a little bit of, I think that might have been a protector for a headlight flying off. Down into this hairpin again.
Jamie Green leads Timo Scheider. Paul di Resta is there third, ahead of Mike Rockenfeller, but they've yet to make a second stop, and that's Spengler. Look on the inside of Christensen. Is he going to go through?
Oh.
They touch. Christensen hits him twice. He's already been shown the driving standards flag once, remember. Christensen goes through. Christensen goes wide. Spengler gains the place.
Oh, the Great Dane really has got the worst part of that. And Norbert Haug's not happy, I don't think. I mean, tensions are running high after Barcelona still.
But I don't think there's anything deliberate in that from Christensen. He's just trying to get back on the track. There's no deliberate effort to take Spengler off.
No, I think it was more a friendly nudge. But in the end, he carried too much speed into the left-hander and...
Exactly. No advantage gained, was there by him. But what the race director chooses to do will be interesting now. He's had the driving standards flag once, and certainly there was contact there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
It was contact more than a push, I would suggest. Anyway, back to the championship. Ekstrom is better placed on track than Spengler. He's ahead of him in the title race anyway, so it looks as though the Swede could well become a double DTM champion here.
Yeah, a man who spent most of his career driving saloons, really made his mark originally in the Swedish Touring Car Championship, then moved over to the DTM. Very much a major player in the DTM. Did drive the Audi R10 diesel car at Le Mans at the test when Tom Christensen thought he might not be able to race, but in the end Christensen was fit enough. I know Ekstrom enjoyed that experience, but DTM is really what his career is all about.
Now look at this, you've got Rockenfeller keeping at bay Schneider and Spengler. That's trying to enable Matthias Ekstrom to pull away, but Mike Rockenfeller, who of course dinged an Audi at Le Mans this year, he was the cause of the manufacturer's first retirement in this year's race, is about to do a very important job for Audi now. He's got to try and stack up those two Mercedes and let the Red Bull livery Audi and Matthias Ekstrom pull away.
David, I would just love to be a fly on the wall at one of the pre-race briefings amongst these drivers and about the tactics.
You reckon it stays the whole way throughout the race, though, compared to the briefing? I reckon they do some of this on the hoof, depending on who's where after the pit stops.
Oh, I think they even get instructions from the pits.
Now, Rockenfeller there suddenly slows. Is that a problem, or is that being magnanimous to Mercedes? Now Schneider goes a little bit wide. Spengler tries to stick his nose up the inside, but it was clear what Rockenfeller was doing, and now having let Ekstrom pull away, it looks as though he's bailed out and let the two Mercedes go by.
I think that's what he did, actually. I don't think there was a problem.
Spengler versus Schneider. Bruno Spengler on the inside. If he gets past his teammate here, which he does, he's going to have a clear run at Eki.
Now, was he held up a little bit too long by Schneider?
That's Rockenfeller, that's why he was slowing.
Yeah.
He's only made one stop. I wonder whether he's tried to go too far on a tank of fuel.
That's what's happened, David. I'm absolutely sure now. So we were saying, well, he'd been very sporty because he was running out of fuel.
Well, that is not something that often happens, although it has happened in the past to Matthias Ekstrom, remember, a year or so ago in DTM. Cost him a chance of a good finish at the Lausitz Ring. So that is Matthias Ekstrom, champion-elect, now being chased by Bruno Spengler. What a way to end the season. This, I think, is the best race of the year, and it ain't over yet. There are still quite a few questions to be answered.
Yeah, one question really is, why did Spengler get holed up behind Schneider, not just sort of ushered by immediately, because he did lose a couple of seconds in the last couple of laps before he was released. There is the current point standing. Ekstrom on 50, Spengler on 47. Still looking Ekstrom's way, isn't it?
Even if Spengler gets ahead of Ekstrom, it would still need Jamie Green to drop back behind Bruno Spengler.
Yeah.
So, irrespective of Spengler's efforts, he is dependent on Jamie Green, who is so far ahead of him in real terms for the lead of the race. I don't think that Spengler has a chance, does he? He might be able to get past Ekstrom, but he's not going to be able to do enough to win the championship.
Well, the situation still pretty well on a knife edge. Advantage at the moment, certainly to Ekstrom, a bit like a tennis game, David, though. It could go back to juice very quickly.
Well, Jamie Green there certainly has the advantage on track at the moment, and if he does win this, I think this will be a far more satisfying race than that he won in Spain.
Oh, absolutely, and mid-season there were question marks about Jamie and whether he would stay with Mercedes-Benz. Well, I think he's put all those behind him now.
Something else we've been doing on commentary this year is waving the flag a bit for Timo Scheider. We've not seen the best of him. We've said he's a great team player. He's also much quicker than his results would indicate. And if you look there in the background, you'll see that Scheider is set in this race to be the best of the Audi drivers, set for the podium for the first year. And he really is deserving of a current spec car again next season. I'm a big fan of Scheider, and as I say, we've not seen the best of him, but what we have seen him do in recent rounds is been a consummate professional as far as the team is concerned. Ekstrom is being caught by Spengler, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it's back to juice now, isn't it? Or very close.
Thank you, Dan Maskell. That's Norbert Haug looking on. That's Wolfgang Ulrich of Audi looking on. And this is Bruno Spengler, with lots of flies splattered against the windscreen, and there he is in the office. Grabs a gear, runs wide over the curb. He's really pushing here, but even if he gets past Ekstrom, is the call going to come for Jamie Green to give away the race win? I doubt it.
No, I don't think that will happen. Ekstrom, incidentally, together with his partner, the rally co-driver Tina Turner, have just opened a new premium bedroom furniture shop in their hometown. So possibly he'll have a trophy to display there, bring in a few customers to try their special luxury beds.
Let's hope it's that furniture that comes with all the requisite screws and bits and bolts that mean it can sustain holding a trophy. There goes then the Audi of Matthias Ekstrom out of turn one. He's got Bruno Spengler still behind him. Well, we're on the last lap then now of what's been not only a great race, but a great season of DTM. We've had lots of different winners, we've had lots of drama, we've had lots of standout drives, we've had controversy, but it's going to end in the best possible way with a superb race. The race set to be won by Jamie Green. for the podium, Timo Scheider for third and for the title. Looks as though Matthias Ekström is half a lap away from achieving a second DTM crown.
But he only needs to lock up the brakes, David. Something can yet go wrong here. It's not over until that checkered flag falls. And he is being kept very honest indeed here by Bruno Spengler. There is Jamie Green now heading towards the checkered flag. There is Timo Scheider heading towards his best finish of the season. And here is the battle for the crown.
The proverbial fat lady hasn't yet started to sing, but she's just warming up, I think, because with only a handful of corners to go there, Ekström now makes his way ahead of Spengler. He's getting closer and closer to the championship. First of all, though, we've got the race winner to consider. Jamie Green for Mercedes is going to score his second DTM win, and it's his second DTM win in a row. Here he comes then. The fireworks go off, the flares go off. Jamie Green wins the last round of DTM 2007. Look at that for a spectacle. Second is Timo Scheider, and Matthias Ekström wins the DTM crown for the second time in his career. For Audi, Matthias Ekström is the DTM champion.
Yes, fantastic season for Matthias Ekström. Played the percentage game during the year, and well, jubilation there in the Upton Audi pit. The checkered flag still being waved enthusiastically.
And the marshals wave their flags to herald the driver's arrival home. There's Martin Tomczyk coming over the line in 9th place. Well, he was one of 3 drivers in with a chance of the title.
And David La Rosa, did you see him lock up at the end? That's a drive we really missed. Came from the back of the field to 10th place.
A great effort. Well, there's confirmation of that top 10. Martin Tomczyk 9th ahead of him, Paul di Resta 8th, but at the pointy end, Jamie Green the victor. Let's hear from Tomczyk though.
For sure, I'm a bit disappointed, but first of all, congratulations to Matthias for his second DTM championship and Audi and Abt. I think we all did a great job, and it was the right thing that he won the championship. But anyhow, my third position in the championship, so far so good. For sure, I expected a bit more after that weekend, and my race pace was there, but unfortunately, after the third corner, for me, it was standard championship.
Well, there's Bruno Spengler, proving himself to be a good loser, but very disappointed.
Since 2 years, I'm working very hard to win the championship. And as usual, you know, we played fair. And I was really giving everything to win today the championship and the race. We had a very, very competitive car. Unfortunately, you know, everybody who can look at the race can see who was playing fair and not. I mean, we get told always in our briefing, again today, even more as usual, that we should be fair and not getting into the other's way and stuff like that. And then if you have a look at the race again, you can judge yourself what happened there.
So the French-Canadian not happy at all, but here's a man that's certainly going to celebrate tonight, the new 2007 DTM champion. So let's hear what an emotional Matthias Ekström has to say.
I would say last time I won the championship, I felt that I was by far the greatest performer because I was already a championship winner the second last race. I won the last 2 races that year, and it was, compared to this one, that championship was easy. Harder as this, I would never expect, and I never had a feeling like this before.
Jamie Green on the top step of the podium. The championship's gone to an Audi driver. The race goes to a Mercedes driver. And that gives the team boss, Norbert Haug, something to celebrate at the end of a stunning race.
I think it was great. I think people enjoyed it. It was packed, it was nice weather, it was a thrilling race. We were the fastest. We won 7 races out of 10, which is a good score, I have to say. The new C-Class was presented in a very positive way, the car to beat. And congratulations to Matthias Ekström and Abt Audi. They did a good job, scored 3 more points. We lost some due to issues that some people know, but I think it's time for a positive summary of that season. It was a good one.
Yeah, and interesting to see that Mercedes-Benz won far more races than Audi, but Audi came up with a champion. There is the architect of all this success for the 4 rings, Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich. What a couple of weeks it's been for him with that victory in the Petit Le Mans. and the traditional banging on the barriers there, and there is the glass trophy. Don't drop it, Matthias. A second DTM championship for him, and as ever the DTM certainly putting up a spectacular performance. They know how to promote these races, and they had a huge crowd, and the fans certainly enjoyed it. But let's hear now from Dr. Ulrich.
It was just a thrilling season. Matthias at the end made it, and I have to say he also earned it. The team had a strong effort, because we all know that Martin could have won the championship as well, which is a sign that we had a good team effort. Martin was unlucky in this race, but okay, that's a part of racing. I'm really proud for all the guys that worked for us, for Audi, in our teams for this championship, because they have done a great job, because the stronger the competition is, the harder it is to be at top at the end.
Thank you for watching that race. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next year.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's been a tremendous season for the DTM, starting and finishing in Hockenheim. 3 men went into this final round with a chance of the title, but only one man could win it, and his name, Matthias Ekström of Sweden for Audi. For me, Andrew Marriott, for David Allison, it's goodbye until next season.